Every year as an Xbox fan, you have an event called XO to look forward to. The entire industry has been very confused on whether or not XO would be a thing in 2020 because of the pandemic. It does look like maybe we will have an XO. But before we get on to the video, definitely hit that like button if you guys enjoyed the video. You can always subscribe to the channel for weekly content, and don't forget to go over there and follow me at Twitter at LordAddictILP. So let's go ahead and talk about this event. What's going on, you guys? Gaming out here, coming at you for another video. Today we're going to be talking about an event. As an Xbox fan, you have a couple events throughout the year to look forward to. You have E3, you have Gamescom, you have the Tokyo Game Show, which, you know, like I made a video a couple videos ago about the Tokyo Game Show. Normally, Xbox isn't at this show, but this year they was at the show. You have Gamescom, and then you have XO, as well as the Video Game Award. Now, what XO is, it's an event that's thrown by Microsoft celebrating the Xbox brand. They have a lot of third-party support there. They have a lot of first-party support that they've made huge announcements like acquiring Obsidian and Exile Entertainment. And this is an event that every year Microsoft fans and Xbox fans and people in the industry in general look forward to. But this year is different. There's a couple different variables that going on that makes it to where maybe we won't have an XO. One of the biggest variables right now is clearly the pandemic. We're in a global pandemic at the moment, and you can't have these type of events scheduled because you have to have social distancing. So that is one of the reasons that, you know, we thought we might not have an XO. And there's another reason is the Xbox Series X launches this year, and that is around the same time they normally do have an XO. So my question is do they launch the XO maybe a week before the console launches, and that's going to be a celebration for the console itself, or do they go ahead and ignore XO this year and go ahead and just so they can focus 100% on the Xbox Series X launch and make sure that there's no mess ups in messaging and anything related to that? Because when you have these type of events, it always leaves room for miscommunication, and there's been a lot of miscommunication on both sides this year and in this generation in general in terms of what's happening next generation. So that might be a reason Microsoft might not have an XO, because they don't want to leave any cracks. They want to make sure that this launch is done as best as it possibly can. Now, my opinion personally is I feel like they need an XO. I feel like they need something to get the fans riled up. Obviously, we had Bethesda being bought a couple weeks ago, and then we had, you know, about a month or two ago, we actually had an event for Xbox that actually went over some of the future games like Avowed, games like Fable. We heard some of that, but I do want to remind you guys that at that same event that they announced Fable, they announced Avowed, they actually did come out. Phil Spencer came out on that stage and said that some of the studios are going to be shown here, but others going to be shown later on this year. So that makes me think that there's a couple different scenarios that could happen with something like this in the way Phil Spencer described in that event. There's this scenario where they are going to have XO, and they split that event up into two, one for XO and one for that event to showcase what's going to be in the future for the Xbox Series X. Maybe they wanted more information coming out closer to the launch of the Xbox Series X, so they split up their first party titles and they know they're going to show the rest at that event. Another scenario, which is probably the most likely scenario, is the Video Game Award. It is no secret that last year they revealed the Xbox Series X on that stage, so it would make sense that they would re-go there with some new information. Maybe we'll see some Hellblade 2. We have not seen actual gameplay from that game, so that's definitely a card that they can show. But in terms of me, I feel like if they do go to the Video Game Awards, it's going to be whatever Compulsion's working on. It's going to be whatever Initiative is working on, because I know we've been talking about Bethesda for the past couple weeks because of the potential of Microsoft buying that company and all the games that they can provide to us. But a lot of us forgot about the studios that they currently already own. We forgot about the Compulsions. We forgot about the Initiatives. I mean, still have not seen no gameplay on Undead's State of Decay 3, which I doubt that's going to be there. But we can definitely get an Initiative and a Compulsion reveal showing what these studios are working on and showing why, as an Xbox fan, why you should invest into their ecosystem, because we have games coming for you. And it's not only do we have games coming for you, but if you're a subscriber to Xbox Game Pass, you're going to have those games day and day in that subscription service. But at the end of the day, the biggest thing that Xbox Xbox fans want to see is they just want to see more news on what's coming forward and what's down the road, what's in that pipeline. They gave us a lot of information back in July, but it's like I've always said, you can always do better. We can do better messaging, we can do better games, we can do better services, and this is one of those scenarios where, yes, I would like an event this month. I would like an event right before the Xbox Series X comes out to get me more hype for that console, and I'm already pretty hyped for that console. Microsoft, you need to show these games. You kind of already teased these games back in July, so just go ahead and commit and do it. Luckily, there is a little bit of crumbs that support this event. There is some Xbox social media accounts that's been tweeting here lately, and they all seem to point towards one date, November the 9th, ironically the day before the Xbox Series X launches. There has been a list that has leaked on Reddit or whatever these media sites, I keep forgetting them all, and it pointed to a lot of things that didn't make sense. There was some things on there that was definitely possible and made me think this list is correct, but then there was also a lot of stuff that didn't really make sense in terms of why Microsoft would show stuff like that related on that event stage. Now, maybe there is some truth into this, and whoever made this list just guessed things that they know probably would be at an event. For instance, they said on there that Compulsion's game's gonna be there, that the Initiative's game's gonna be there, and that new gameplay for Halo Infinite's gonna be there. All I have to do is say one thing. Duh! We know games like this and announcements like this is going to be at these type of events. Now, I do want to say that on that list, the Initiative was the last one on it. So I think that implies that they figured that the Initiative would be ending the conference or the event or XO or whatever they're saying that list was connected to. And once again, duh, we would expect the Initiative to end a conference. Hell, I would expect the Initiative to end E3, but at an XO, that's definitely ending material. Look, I'm not saying that list was true because I think there was a lot of things on that list that pointed for that list to be false, but I do feel like there is an event coming, and I feel like we're going to get an announcement probably in the next 2 weeks. Is it going to be a fancy event where there's thousands upon thousands of people there? Of course not. The pandemic prevents people from doing things like that, even giant companies like Microsoft. But at the end of the day, even if this is completely false and there's no such event, we're going to get the Video Game Awards. That's very soon. That's in December. And if the stuff that might have been at that XO, if it was canceled maybe because of the pandemic, I have a feeling the big ones will make its way to the Video Game Awards because we saw the success that they had with announcing the Xbox Series X at that event. And that's just my take on it. I think that if there is an event, it's going to be relatively soon. If there isn't, we're going to see it in December, just like everyone else would think. And that rumored list, you know, take that with a giant grain of salt. I wouldn't really believe too much in that. But, you know, tell me what you guys think. Do you think that that list is true? And if you think that list is true, do you think that maybe this November 9th event has anything to do with that list? I would once again say no. I just think someone made a list because they have a lot of knowledge in this industry that's not necessarily behind closed doors, and they knew what to put on that list for it to get a little bit of traction. But definitely tell me what you guys think in the comment section below. This is Gaming Addict. I'm out of here. Peace.